How come you are getting so emotional hearing all of this?
Yeah, because I think in my strength and how I speak up on things, people think I'm tough. Like I'm just a girl who's trying to do the things that I do, and it has not been easy for me, and it's not often people say these things that they say to me, because like you hear, like they're like, oh, how do we approach her, that kind of thing. Yeah, so I really, it means a lot to me. So yeah, it means a lot to me.
I feel like you were meant to be here today.
Yeah, I don't know, I guess. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there's some divine intervention of things you needed to hear today. Relebogile says, I watched Penny since her days on Motswako and the sunrise on ETV. She has never ever betrayed her convictions.
702.
The upside of failure.
Sometimes failure is the foundation of greatest success stories.
Penny, how are you doing?
I'm awesome.
I feel like before, when you and I were together, COVID was a problem. It kept us physically apart.
Yeah, and I think that's when you started the feature, right?
No, so it wasn't when we started the feature, but I was quite new.
Yeah.
Back.
Okay.
New old.
Yes.
I was refurbished.
You were refurbished.
And repurposed.
You were repurposed, yeah. Okay, I guess, yeah. I'm always part of the beginning of things.
Isn't that such a beautiful thing, though, to know that about yourself?
It is a beautiful thing, but also sometimes you get erased out of history. Like, it's like you were never there.
But you know what's weird? You saying that, though, is like I've never known a time where you were not actively doing something in the industry.
Yeah, but it's because you know me and you're interested in me. There's a lot of people who pretend they don't know what I do.
Okay, let's give a refresher, because you are a host, you are a radio broadcaster. I consider you an activist. You are an ally. You are a mother. What am I missing?
I'm a daughter.
A speaker.
And a loving, proud South African.
And a feminist.
And a pan-African. I don't know. I guess a pro-woman advocate.
Yes.
If that makes me feminist, that's fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have really just been in awe of... Okay, I'll tell you one of the things I absolutely admire about you, Penny. You comfortably say things publicly that many would be afraid to say because of, and I'm not going to say being cancelled, but not being considered for certain things. What gave you that thing that you are able to do that? Because you and I both know, having been in this industry, we see a lot of things that people might not even believe happen. But you're like, I'm going to say it.
Because I think in the beginning, when I was doing this work and when I got into the industry, it wasn't a popularity contest. And I was doing the work that needed to be done, that have to be done. And I guess the consideration wasn't, is it going to make me popular or unliked? And I thought that we occupy the spaces that we occupy because we want to have impact and influence, and we have voices that can, go further than a lot of people. So I kind of took my job and what I do seriously. I mean, Obviously, now that I'm older, I realize, and also at first I didn't think that, I'm not considered for things because of that. So once I learned that, I went, that is why. Because initially I thought I was not good enough for things for the longest time.
How did you learn? How did you find out that is some of the things you say? And mind you, I'm going to share with everybody, this is not a new phenomenon. I saw somewhere that, even in Hollywood, people are being taken off of projects just based off of who they are publicly supporting within the war that's currently happening.
Yeah.
And it's not an abnormal thing where people, this one we don't want to.
So I think I realized, I think that maybe as recently as like 2019, 2020.
Yes.
Also, it wasn't like a realization of like, that is why. It's kind of like certain things got confirmed why I wasn't in certain spaces, because I used to think I just have a wild imagination. I think certain people do certain things, or I don't fit in here, or I don't belong.
Yes.
And then the facts kind of like came in front of me, and I had to like sort of like come to terms with like, that's the reason why I can't be here, or I'm not here, and that's the reason why, you would hear that your name has been removed from things. Or sometimes you imagine you're
It's so
you're like
weird.
Labaring, man. I think I should have been doing that. And you're like, and then when you really look around who's involved, you're like, oh, I see now. And then I think for the longest time, it was like, I don't have what it takes. Maybe I'm not good enough. Then I had to sort of like say, that's actually not true. You're more than good enough, and it's okay. It's just that your truth or your integrity or the things you stand for, and your voice, it makes certain people uncomfortable. And your energy, rubs them the wrong way, and it's okay. And that doesn't make you less of anything.
But isn't it great also how those situations are a blessing in disguise, because you wouldn't necessarily want to be working with certain kind of people who think a certain way. If you get what I mean, because
I think thinking differently is okay, but people who behave a certain way and treat other people a certain way is the bigger problem. I think we can disagree on opinion and on certain things, but if you're harmful if I'm harmful to your spirit and you're harmful to the next person, then that's very problematic.
So knowing what you know now about, you saying like you discovered that recently, did you change your approach to what you're vocal about?
I'm trying to. I mean, I'm a big girl. I care. I don't care, but I care, because also the reality of it, I think I gotta, and I have to come to that place of saying, I'm a mom. It cost me financially. I lost a lot of opportunities, and some of it I have proof that, I was sidelined or marginalized because, and that cost me financial success. It's funny who's sponsoring your talk today. And I literally just came from their event.
Yes.
I met Stephen Bartlett.
Yes.
And I think, the world is unfair. But I just feel like, it was wrong of people to do that to me. Because part of the things that I spoke about are things that we needed to talk about. It was good for our growth. It's good for our industry. It's good for the Black people that we want to be. I didn't attack people personally. I just spoke on a lot of issues. If I talk about gender parity in the entertainment industry, it's not because I'm personalizing it against the guys. It's because they really do get paid more money than we do. And we do the same job. It's not personal. And and I'm just saying that for your entire career, you've been on prime time from day one. And if you've been fired 7 times, you've been rehired. But someone like me would be don't hire her. She's going to come here and make us uncomfortable about gender-based violence. Or you know what I mean? Or she's going to talk about predatory behavior. And it's like, no, we don't want her here. But don't you want your daughter to know about predatory behavior being problematic? And you don't want gender parity to be a conversation that we should have? We should have it.
Yes, indeed.
So it's that kind of stuff.
And I think it's still so important having voices like yours, because some don't have platforms to have voices, or when they speak, no one listens.
Yeah, or others can't speak because it's too much. It's too painful. It's too hard.
You know what I just realized? I just realized something as I was bringing us back from break. There's a job I lost to you very recently. Nah.
What? Me?
No, listen. We auditioned for something, the same thing. And in reality, I'm going to be honest, I wasn't actually going to be fully available to do it, right?
Yeah.
But it's still important for me to show up and be on camera, different broadcasters. Long story short, when the show came out and I saw you, I thought, she's so perfect. Because I saw other people at the auditions and I thought somebody else was perfect. But when I saw you, I was like, this makes sense. I get it. She's so perfect. Can you guess which one it is?
No.
Guess.
No.
Think of what Relebogile can do with interviews of sensitive subjects, and think of what you're doing with sensitive subjects.
The Big Secret.
Yeah. Yes.
Really?
Yes. But
gosh.
it's so perfect.
I had a wild experience with The Big Secret for BET. It was a little bit wild. And anyway.
No, because there was so much traveling, and with a daily radio show,
yeah.
it just wasn't going to want to make sense. But it was still important for me to show up, especially if people call you specifically. Like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to honor the invite.
invite.
And when I saw you, I was like, oh my gosh, this just made sense. Why didn't they just phone her directly? Like, sometimes I'm like, why did they phone us?
Wow.
It made so much sense. What was that experience like, dealing with such heavy subject matter, and people in rooms where people are trying to share secrets, and people being like in denial in the room, or like not understanding.
It's always wild first, and secondly, it's also very I would say humbling. It kind of like brings you to reality of like what other people's life experiences is like, and it forces you to be reflective as much as you lean on your skills, your professional skills, because also you got to be able to strike the balance, being able to do the job using your journalism skills or interviewing skills, but at the same time then you got to rely on your human skills, you know, whether you're empathetic, whether you can sense when someone is like lying, you know, like I picked up people lying, and then you got to figure, is the production company playing a prank on me? Are they in on it? Or actually, have I just realized that someone is making up a story here? And then you gotta use your intuition to be able to rely on your team to get to the bottom of the real story. So it's very taxing, and yeah.
But I genuinely think that is a big part of your gift, the types of projects you have gotten into recently, because you do have a certain skill. Like, you can poka an older woman and do it with such grace. Not like, but what's poka in English? Like reprimand.
Yeah.
An older person, which we know as black people, that is just like unacceptable.
Yeah.
But you do it with such grace.
Thank you. I think it comes with the experience over time, and it's putting yourself out there, and also allowing the energy of the moment to lead you, because it's not a put on. It's not I'm gonna go in there and be this. So it's like literally, yeah. I mean, a lot of people tell me that they're like, your facial expressions and some of the words that you throw, it's very spicy. I'm like, I didn't really think about it. I'm literally reacting naturally in that moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your radio journey, I mean, I remember listening to you for many years, and I have been so fascinated just how your career has evolved. So you were on a massive radio station, national, and decided when it was still quite a new thing to do the digital thing. What was that transition like for you? Because people will always be like, downgrade, what, demotion, you know, I mean, they will always have their thoughts and comments, but I'm curious as to what the experience was like for you.
So I think I've always been blessed with being part of like new transitional experiences, especially with broadcast in this country. Because remember, I started on community radio.
Yeah.
The first community radio stations, when they started, that's what happened. And then the first batch of like young people who came from community radio who went on commercial stations, I was part of that. The only difference is that my peers went to like regional and youth stations. I went straight to like the biggest station at the time, you know, which was Metro FM.
Yes.
And then I think when the space of like digital radio happened with Gareth, you know, because that's also the other thing. People think I only did, you know, digital radio with
Spoo's team.
with Spoo's team, with
Massive
with
Metro.
Massive Metro. But I did with Gareth,
Yes.
you know, as well. And I think I could have also done with Touch. It's just that I kind of was like, okay, one is enough. Let's see, boys, what's going on. And then I went to do with the massive team. I think I needed to get that sense. And also the beauty of when you started small with something, you know the difference, how small things can become big.
Yes.
Versus people who've started on big platforms. They don't know how to appreciate, you know, small platforms. Because in broadcast and in content, there's no small space.
Yes.
It's about the content that you continuously put out. The same way there's no insignificant radio slot. You know, as long as you're part of a bigger brand and you're contributing to the bigger picture, you know, you can stand out. Like I worked 12 midnight when I first got on a national station, but everybody wanted me on daytime to talk to me. If I was passing in the building, they wanted to put me on. So it was that kind of stuff. So I understood that, and I think I took it with the same grace of like, I have a platform, I can have impact. It doesn't matter. And the same way, I think I'm kind of like a little bit reluctant about podcasts and things like that. I'm like, okay, where am I making money first? What's the ecosystem looking like?
This has literally always been what you say. I think the last time
did we have this conversation?
Right?
Yeah.
You were now I can't remember what you were interviewing me for. It was like some studio.
Wasn't it some a massive radio thing that they were doing?
We were
training radio training.
Radio training.
Yeah, yes.
And I came and I just remember when we were just catching up in January, like, where's the money? Me, I'm going where the money is. And I was
that's
like,
really what I need, guys.
But also what I love about you saying that is the reality of everybody. Not everybody is about like, because you can love your job, be passionate about your calling, and also be like, pay me my money.
Yeah. Also, I spent a lot of time being passionate about a lot of things, pioneering a lot of things, and I became a guinea pig and a blueprint that never gets to the part where the checks come in. Whether it's influence,
they phone you when they say there's no budget.
Yeah, whether it's fashion. I mean, there's no charitable big event that I've never been a guest presenter for free in this country. But when the money comes, I'm not the girl that gets called. So I'm like, oh, okay. No, I'm not starting any new thing now. They must fine-tune the system first.
Yes, and then I'll come. Yeah. Also call me when there's money.
Of course, call me when there's money. I mean, my name is Penny after all.
Listen, this is what I absolutely love though, is that even when you were at Massive Metro, there was not an air of like what you said, oh, this is a smaller space. So you weren't acting like a diva and being difficult. You maintained your work ethic, your professionalism.
Thank
you. You were through and through. And I think we are in a time where, yes, we love platforms like a Metro FM. It's big, it's national.
Yeah.
It sits within our national broadcaster, which we, you know, within that entire house, they have mandates they need to deliver to all South Africans, and commercial stations like a 702. But we're in an era now where a person can start with 5 listeners and blow up just by having their phone.
Yeah.
And having conversations that the
that
BCC SA can't come and be like, we say, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
So having said that, have you ever considered doing your own thing, especially because you've seen what it takes to do your own thing? Or were you like, because I saw what it takes, I won't?
I have, and yet at the same time, you know, I think I've in the recent times, I've kind of like have been a little bit more cautious about a lot of things, because previously I just used to go in it and burn, you know, and come out the other end and be like, I put in all of that, and then I'm too exhausted for anything else. And then I was just like, okay, just pace yourself and, you know, redirect your resources to major things like raising my children.
Yes.
Because, you know, if I'm taking from their fees to pay for certain things, I've
You're
paid.
like, listen, next term we're staying at home so I can do this new podcast.
So I think for now, I really want to get into relationships that, you know, I can sort of like unlock equity out of my name, because I think my name has value, and I'm trying to strike those kind of relationships. And those are the kind of opportunities that I'm looking into.
And before anyone takes that out of context, not romantic relationships.
Well,
business.
that too. You know, relationships that will bring in value out of my life. I mean, it's not like
relationships that will bring
that I can add value to, and
I
they
know
can add
this
value
clip.
to me.
This clip will be online very soon, being like, I want relationships.
Yeah, you know.
And I just like, I almost feel like I cannot wait to get to that age in my life where I'm able to be, not that I'm not honest about the things that I want, but I still have that imposter syndrome thing where I'm like, yeah, but do I really deserve that much? Or do I really? I still have that, and it helps that I have a manager and an agent that fight for me. But I feel like you don't need that at all. You're fighting for yourself.
No, I actually do.
You do?
So, I do, guys. This is the thing. I have fought for myself my entire life. I want people to fight for me. I want people to stand up for me. I want someone to speak on my behalf. So this is the thing. People who fight for themselves also need to be fought for.
Yeah.
That's what we always forget. It's like people who
And
speak,
people who fight for other
people
people.
need someone else to fight for them. So I think I'm at that place where I'm like, hey, can somebody fight for me? Can somebody speak for me? So it's that conversation. I'm like, okay, I'm looking for a PR person or a manager, and they're like, what are we gonna do for you? I'm like, Haibo, what do you do for other people? Like, why can't you do it for me? They're like, I'm like, yeah, well, it's not like I'm saying make me something I'm not. It's like, extract value out of what I am. And I think that's a new level of personality or talent management that we need to sort of like get to in our country. Everyone is obsessed with making someone something. How about evolving them, taking them to the next level? Because we're already in that space where there's people who actually can still add value. Because one of the things that we're very good at is discarding people in South Africa. It's like, what are we going to do with Relebogile now? She's done it all. Wow.
Right.
Okay.
And that happens.
It's like, what is that?
It happens.
Yeah. So it's that kind of stuff. So those are the kind of conversations that I'm having with people.
The word is overexposed. That's
Well-
what they say. They'll be like, hey, too much. She's everywhere. She's,
Yeah, well, I guess I've been too much my whole life, but I'm so much more.
I'm remembering, as you were saying, that you're always at the beginning. People literally forget that you were an earlier judge of Idols.
Yeah, I was in season 1 of Idols.
You were the first.
I saw recent when they were thanking everyone who was part of Idols. My name wasn't there.
Well, Anela did thank you. Anela tweeted and she did mention you, which is what reminded me. But I think maybe, I don't know what it is with people forgetting, but you were at the beginning, and the first season is always a tricky,
Very tricky
testing ground.
Yeah, it's testing grounds, and and it sets the tone for what's to come, because also a lot of like authentic truths come, because how long did it take for us to get a black winner?
Kayam Tetwa season
Came like 10 years later.
Season 8?
Yeah, I think
in
so.
2012. And the only reason I remember that is because
Yeah.
we just did something recently together, and I had to remind myself it took that long.
And then I was chastised for my comments on that.
Remind us what you said.
Well, I said the white kids were getting away on demographics. They had access to DSTV. We didn't have DSTV in the township, so the black kids, no one was voting for them. And they said it was racist.
And you also said that the black kids were singing better.
Well, they were. But then it got a little bit extreme where then the white kids didn't enter. Then it was just no longer Idols.
I think, look, if we keep in mind that it moved right to another channel,
Yeah.
with a different demographic.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe for you as a broadcaster, what do you think about the fact that we come from a time where Mnet was like so limited, was for a specific audience. Now we've got so many channels.
Yeah.
When a Penny, you are sometimes on 3 channels at one time. You've been on Moja Love, you've been on Honey, you've been on BET. Where haven't you been?
I haven't been on Mzansi.
You have not?
I've only been on SABC3 as a behind-the-scenes host for Miss South Africa. Yes. I haven't...
You've been on SABC2?
I've been on SABC2.
Mutsako?
Yes, I've been on SABC1, Studio Mix, and just
Oh my
a lot
gosh,
of
I
other
forgot
shows.
about that.
I haven't been on any other show per se. Okay, except for like, things like special broadcasts on SABC1.
You were on Sunrise on ETV.
I was on Sunrise. Actually, I've worked for most of the broadcasters except Prime Media. Hello!
Po, 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 po. Listen, I can't remember what you said at the beginning. You said people only call me at the beginning.
Yeah.
We've just moved into a new building. So they're waiting. There's like, Penny doesn't want new beginnings. She wants established,
I'm in the new
settled
beginning season.
But let's talk about where you are right now, because we touched on you being in the digital space. What made you decide to go back? And do you think people were surprised that you made the choice to go back to mainstream? And I mean, there still was a possibility of you doing both. I think Sol Penduka still does a podcast and does Kaya FM. Was that option available to you, or were you like, guys, I'm not going to be able to do 7 days a week? What was the vibe?
Well, guys, Massive closed down, and then I couldn't work without being paid.
Eish.
I mean, I do my work for free at times, but like, there's no way I can work for 2 months, 3 months, and I don't get paid.
You stayed for 3 months with no payment.
I think so, like a month or two. And then eventually, and then it wasn't like I wasn't also going to count the times when it didn't happen during whatever. I was just like, okay, just pay me what's there. And then it shut down
Give me
like
the
a month or
R2
two.
that's left in the account.
Yeah, I got kids, guys. I'm a single mom.
Penny, did you shut down Massive Metro?
Oh, well, I didn't. But things tend to fall apart after I leave. Shows don't continue. They don't get renewed. I'm like, I tend to have that kind of effect on things.
On a serious note, though, I think it is sad.
Yes, it is sad.
For the mere fact that the more platforms, the better.
Yeah.
If they are black owned as well, because they aren't many. Yes, we know. Penny just said it was not black owned, but I'm saying if they are black owned, the better. But you going back now to mainstream media, mainstream radio, you're at Radio 2000. What has that journey been like for you?
It's a new beginning. It's like it's a learning, and then also I've always either worked during the week, so I've never worked on a Sunday. So this is my first time working on a Sunday, and it's laid back. So it's a different experience, and Radio 2000 is a different experience from remember I worked for Metro in its prime.
Yes.
So it's been difficult to benchmark it against anything else.
Yeah.
And also so that was that. It's been fun. It's been interesting. It's mainly music driven. I like conversations. Okay, I do have interviews in the middle of a Sunday. Some people like it, some people don't like it. But that's what I was asked to do. So also it's no longer about this is what I want to do. I'm just like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, at that point.
Yeah.
So maybe then tell me, if all the millions in the world available, the platform available to you, and somebody said, Penny, if I could build the ideal radio show for you, the ideal TV show for you, what would it be?
It would definitely be a conversational, situation with people about life experiences, trauma, emotions. Did I just tell you that I came from Stephen Bartlett?
Yes, you did.
He's one of my favorite. I like how he.
So that's
he peels.
Diary of a CEO.
Yeah.
He's got a phenomenal. Head over to YouTube
Yeah.
and see his interviews.
Yeah.
One of his interviews I enjoyed was with Black Coffee, actually.
Okay.
He had that conversation,
Yeah.
but head over to Diary of a CEO. So you would want to do something like that?
I definitely do. I think also in a South African context, there's a lot of people who influential and lead in our lives, but we don't really, we don't know, they don't show up as themselves. We don't know who they are. They're not open enough. We don't know their values, character, personality, challenges, insecurities, how they overcome those things. And I think, we need lots of conversations like that. And I think it'll be great for it's 30 years of our democracy next year in terms of healing our nation and also helping heal collectively. The other day I was listening to Clement. He's that's a healing hour.
Space. Yeah,
I think that is such. I think we need more conversations like that are based on real life experiences. And yes, it's great that people are successful in whatever spheres, but it's very difficult as well for a lot of people to speak about how they achieve their success. It's just oops, one day they're successful, and how did you get there? It's almost like there's no. We're not open about that. We don't share enough about that, and I think those kind of conversations are needed and they're necessary.
So, how much of yourself do you keep to yourself?
A lot.
You've spoken about being vulnerable, sharing to heal. Right? Because doing the work that you do, you're already vulnerable to opinions, attacks, commentary. But at the same time, you want to have spaces where people can be themselves, but you have to protect parts of yourself.
So I think a lot of stuff that I've been out there about myself is stuff that I spoke about. Actually, if I didn't speak about, people wouldn't know about it. And some of it was deliberate, but also some of it was intentional in controlling the narrative about what's out there, because people can run with misinformation about you and they conclude. And sometimes they can use their, perceptive thinking and run with that to prejudice you. And then you just have to put things to context. And not necessarily to them, but to own your power and control the space that you're in, so that you're never kicked out. Being a single mother, I remember I mean, and I couldn't confirm it until the producer confirmed that when I did Motswako, for example, for a while, it took me 5 years to go to Motswako. Part of the reason why I couldn't do the show then is because some people felt that how can a woman with children out of marriage host a women's show? And it was in South Africa in 2010. And I was like, really?
Wow.
And I couldn't believe that initially. And then,
Yes.
and then when the producer said to me, that's what I had to write a motivation letter for me to get that.
Wow.
Yeah. But
I'm so glad how things have changed.
Right now.
Because I mean,
Yeah.
I was sharing, I can't remember where I was giving a talk, the importance of women in a room. Because when I was now pregnant and getting ready to give birth, and Unpacked was getting ready to do a new season, they were like, if you want to breastfeed on set, please feel free to have your baby in shot. And those conversations wouldn't have happened if it was men only in the room.
But there's also women in the room who can say, yes. And it was a lot of women who were saying, a single mother here. No, we don't want her. Please. Only married women allowed.
Remember, what is that saying that women are the biggest gatekeepers of? Patriarchy.
Of patriarchy, yes.
So that reality is still...
Yeah.
Tsulu from Centurion. Tsulu, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, lovely?
Good. Go ahead.
Hi, Penny. How are you?
Hi, Tsulu.
Penny, you were everybody's... You know, when we've got a big sister that everyone's scared of, that's who you were for us in the media.
The big sister for everyone that everyone is scared of. I don't know why people are scared of me.
Terrified of. So I was a young journalist straight out of varsity at Draft Magazine and then later on at Move
Is this Tsulu
Magazine.
Modise?
Yes.
Oh, gosh. All right.
I was always put on your stories. If anything came up about Penny, new show, any kind of scandal on a Sunday paper, then they were like, yeah, you know it's your beat, so give her a ring. And Penny terrified me.
Oh, my goodness.
But in a good way, because she held me to a higher standard, you know.
I did.
She's one of those people that always stood her ground about telling her story and, you know, controlling the narrative around her and her brand. And I really, really loved working with Penny.
Oh.
Such a gracious woman to, you know, a young journalist. And I mean, when I came into the industry, Penny was very much a celebrity. But one of the things she always, you know, made sure to say is, but guys, this is just my life. Like, I'm not a celebrity. There's nothing interesting here. And I'd have to convince her, no, Penny, listen, let's write it this way. But yeah, I wanted to just say thanks for the grace. Thanks for the friendship at the time. You know, as a young journalist, I appreciated that.
Okay, thank you, Tsulu. I remember our times. It was great. And I hope that you're doing well, whatever you're up to these days.
Tsulu, thank you so much. We've got a voice note.
Hi, Relebogile. I'm glad to hear Penny on your show today. I'm a fan. I like this woman. But I tell you what, one of the other things that make her such a success in presenting, the girl is multilingual. I'm telling you, she can speak Tswana, Zulu, she can then speak fluent Sepedi. I like that about her, that then she can really relate to the people that she's interviewing. You know, unlike, you know, some other people who only will speak, you know, their home language and English. Penny is so versatile. So I really, really like that about her. I respect her. Much as she's a girl from Soweto, she can speak, you know, street style, but I like that she can really, you know, switch between languages as the situation requires. So I really like this woman. Bye. Thanks.
Hi, Relebogile. It's Carl here. I met this young lady on a breast cancer awareness drive a good few years ago, and she was absolutely charming. I reckon, you know, if she plays her cards right, she could leave her shoes under my bed any day. Kind regards.
Let me say, if you want Penny to leave her shoes under her bed, she said equity. Is this relationship bringing equity into her life? Grace from Soweto, hi.
Hi, Relebogile.
Good. Go ahead.
Yes, Penny, you're talking to Sister Grace Nzala.
Hello, Nzala.
How are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm fine. I'm so glad that you are on air today. I'm so happy.
I've known you for many, many, many years, more than 25 years. You haven't changed. You've been Penny. Whether you meet a person whereabout, you are always sharing that smile. Oh, I like your show, Moja Love.
I think we
Lost
lost
her
her.
there.
Yes,
Yeah,
we lost
okay.
her there. And we've got Kay from Johannesburg. Hi, Kay.
Hi, I just called to tell Penny to never stop being herself. A few years ago, I got invited onto the morning show to do a morning roundup of the entertainment headlines. And when I heard that I'd be interviewed by Penny, I almost wanted to pass out. As Tulu said, as a young journalist, you are terrified of her, but not in a bad way, because you respect her and her opinion so much. But she's embraced me so much. She holds all of us to a higher standard. She inspires most of us to be as honest as we need to be. But in her honesty, she never stops embracing younger people who need her mentorship. And you're not given your flowers often, Penny, but we see this in you. We love this about you, and never change.
Thank you, Kay. Thank you so much. And congratulations on a new position.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I got into this industry as a young woman, and there were very few older women who embraced me. And I think part of why I hold other young women to a higher standard is because I know that when we do that, we shift the needle and we take things to the next level. And those few who were around for me who did that, there were people like Shadow Twala and Brenda Sisani and Zandi Lenzalo, just to mention but a few. So Jenny Chris Williams. So I had a lot of older women to look up to who I was not even in their space. So whether it was radio, television, or print, in print, same thing. People like Mapula Sibanda, you can name them. I interacted with those women. So do a drum magazine. So I think it came from that, Felicia. So I kind of wanted to do the same. And I'm so grateful that you guys feel the same way that you do. I appreciate it. It means a lot to me.
How come you are getting so emotional hearing all of this?
Yeah, because I think in my strength and how I speak up on things, people think I'm tough. I'm just a girl who's trying to do the things that I do, and it has not been easy for me. And it's not often people say these things that they say to me, because you hear, they're like, oh, how do we approach her, that kind of thing. Yeah, so I really, it means a lot to me. So yeah, it means a lot to me.
Did you know this about yourself? That's how people see you? Claire Mawisa here is tweeting to say, fact, Penny Lebyane is the original it girl.
Yeah, that it girl thing is something else. But yeah, I appreciate it. I know why she say that. She says that. People don't really say a lot of things to me. I guess it's because I say a lot of things about people through my work, and I speak factually about things, and I interrogate, or I'm critical about it. So it's I never need to hear it. But yeah.
I feel like you were meant to be here today.
I don't know, I guess. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there's some divine intervention of things you needed to hear today. Relebogile says, I watched Penny since her days on Motswako and the sunrise on ETV. She has never, ever betrayed her convictions. Like a famous quote says, if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything.
Yeah.
What are the final words you'd like to share on failure that you have learned?
I've learned that, that I'm enough. I'm on the right path, and I have to, keep believing in myself. And that when I have tough moments, it's necessary for me to break through to where I need to get on the other side. And I love this country. I was born in this country, and I've been given so many opportunities to be what I can be, more than what my own parents could achieve, who I'm grateful for their love and their support. And I've been in spaces where, no one in my family has been to. And I hold that with grace. I'm grateful for my grandmother, my mother, and also more than anything else to, from where I come from. I come from Bushbuck Ridge, came to Soweto when I was 13. I know what it's like to be a kid in the village, wide-eyed with dreams in Soweto, and go to school in the township and be able to articulate passionately and speak to yourself and be embraced and meet people who inspire, influence the world and who are powerful, and to be considered and impactful and successful. It means a lot to me.
702.
The upside of failure.
Sometimes failure is the foundation of greatest success stories.